No, that book you wrote though was back in the '90s, or when you...
The first book, Psychoacademic Holocaust, that was released on March the 6th of 2013.
Oh, okay, 2013.
And the new book, Black Parent Advocate, not very new at this point, but still making its rounds around the country. That came out on September the 18th of 2020, which is my 10-year anniversary of my first appearance in Chicago, which basically catapulted me into who I am today.
Okay, that's what's up. And you are somebody, definitely. And I don't know why sometimes they say, I guess you deal with controversial topics. But
Yes,
to
sir.
me,
Yes,
you're
sir.
not personally
I don't
controversial.
consider
You know what
myself
I'm saying?
controversial.
Yeah,
You know,
I mean, you're
this is
dealing with some
interesting.
topics and you may take it from a perspective that many mainstreams don't really like, but it's
Yes,
not
sir.
necessarily controversial.
Yes, sir.
That being said, because you are so well-rounded in this, and comes to sometimes questions belittle the power, in my opinion,
Yes, sir.
that you have. Can I just ask you to give us what do you think currently the state of Black America is?
The state of Black America is oppression through disorganization.
Okay.
The most honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey said the greatest weapon used against the Negro is disorganization. And when we look at Dr. King's example, who, in my opinion, was the last leader to give us a comprehensive plan for political, economic, and social change, Dr. King was the epitome, the paragon of organization. Everything that he did, everything that he was able to accomplish, from the Montgomery bus boycott to the Voting Rights Act, it was all done through organization.
Okay.
You know, Malcolm X said that we are not outsmarted, we're out-organized. Stokely Carmichael, Kwame Ture said, if you organize a little, you get a little done. If you organize some, you get some done. But if you don't organize at all, you don't get anything done. And that's Black America right now. We are where we are, not just because of racism, but because of our own lack of disorganization.
Yeah, and I often say in the city of Memphis, which I'm sure is indigenous to anywhere you go, oftentimes the right hand doesn't know what the left hand is doing.
Absolutely.
And in our very own Black community with already limited resources, we are reinventing the same thing somebody just invented on the other side of town.
And then I also think we have to take into account the fact that we have grown very comfortable as a people letting other groups lead us around. So if you look at the political structure, you know, you have the Democrat, the Republican. That technically is a European political dichotomy, not a Black one.
Okay.
You know, we're not a meaningful part of the Democratic Party, never have been. We're not a meaningful part of the Republican Party, never have been. I'm a firm advocate that we either need to build an independent Black political party or at least a Black political union where you bring in the major candidates for office, you interview them, you have a town hall with exclusively Black people. This is the community's town hall, and you decide who we're going to put our votes behind in exchange for some concessions. Black people have a bad habit of paying for things that they never get.
And in Memphis, of course, we are in the throes of that right now as we head into the mayoral election. Many people are trying to have what's called a people's convention, where we do exactly that, get behind closed doors and kind of come out with a consensus candidate. So with that being said, and I do want to preface this as well, being pro-Black or loving things Black does not necessarily make you
anti-white or anti-anybody else.
Yeah.
And we're the only people in the country who have to clarify
our
proness of our own people. Nobody else have to do that. European Jews speak exclusively for European Jews. They're never asked to qualify whether or not they're anti-anybody else. You look at the Mexican community. They're exclusively for Mexican people. Nobody has to clarify that. Chinese, East Indians, Arabs, Native Americans, nobody has to clarify that they're not against someone for being for themselves. But being pro-Black, quote unquote, is so uncomfortable for the power structure that when Black people say they are pro-Black, you actually have to make everybody else comfortable, because you loving who you are and being an assertive defender of who you are automatically poses a threat to other groups. And that is what should be the focus of our attention. Why are you threatened by me loving who I am?
And again, I must also say that it's not just the power structure that get uncomfortable. If you're in a group of Black people and you say the word Black 3 times, you understand?
You know, Marcus Garvey said that the racism within the Black community exceeds the racism directed at the Black community. And I think that can be very true. We still suffer from the isms. You know, the color isms, the ghetto versus the educated elite, the Muslims versus the Christian, the light skin versus the dark skin. And it is those petty differences introduced on the plantation, intensified since then, that still serve us to keep us apart. I always say, until Black people hate racism more than they hate each other, nothing changes.
All right. And so now let's jump into this because your thrust into the spotlight was because of your profession as a school psychologist. And that being said, how prevalent is the miss and over and under and all the other types of diagnosis for Black boys and girls? And what do you see as the reason for that?
The first three letters in psychology and psychiatry, PSI, right, represents the mind. Mm-hmm. But I say spell that S with a dollar sign.
Okay.
You follow me? Mm-hmm. P $sign Y. Mm-hmm. Because it's all about the money. The diagnosis is money. The reason Black kids are being put in special ed is because it brings money into the district. Special education is a business. When a child is qualified as being learning disabled, intellectually disabled, emotionally disturbed, autistic, deaf, blind, brain injured, traumatic brain injury, speech and language impairment, whatever the case may be, the school gets money, and the special kids on average are worth twice as much as the regular children. If there was no financial subsidy for special ed, there would hardly be any Black kids in special ed. Kids are being put in there because, number one, teachers want them out the class. Yeah. And number two, the district gets paid for them. You are incentivized to misdiagnose children.
But look, Dr. Johnson, back when I was a child, we had special ed, you know what I mean? So was it incentivized then? What is different about today's iteration of this than it was kind of back in the day?
Notorious Big said it best, more money, more problems. I'm going to say more problems, more money. Because that's the way it works in large, urban, predominantly Black school districts. The more problems a district has, the more money comes into that district, which is why a lot of poor districts get worse. You say all this extra money coming into the district, why are we not doing any better? Yeah. Because you get the money because you are a struggling district. And so a lot of people have gotten comfortable with that extra funding that flows in whenever a school has been targeted as at risk or in need of improvements.
And that's that, of course, same model could be placed over crime in cities.
Oh, absolutely.
Money comes in, billy clubs, news.
We're going to hire more people to police the street. It's jobs. It's industry. The Black community doesn't get anything out of it. I say Black failure is one of the most lucrative businesses in America. Wow. Too much money is being paid for Black dysfunction. Nobody wants to stop that Black dysfunction. Look at the prison system, the probation officers, the extra police, the man hours, the extra judges, the special ed teachers, the juvenile detention centers, the discipline schools. You have an entire infrastructure built around the dysfunction and failure of Black America.
And of course, then with the cognitive dissonance, we then get in there ourselves and fight
the
for
same
the
thing.
Very thing.
Exactly. Yes. And why does that happen? You see the same thing in Africa, by the way, but you see it in Black America. Yeah. You can change the person in the seat all you want. I'm speaking.
All right, go ahead.
You can change the person in the seat all you want, but until you change the system, nothing else changes. And Black people have a bad habit of thinking that by changing the personality, you change the purpose of the institution. Yeah. You saw this with Barack Obama. They put him in the White House. Yeah. The purpose never changed towards the government's attitude involving Black people. Yeah. You just got a Black face. You see it with mayors. You see it with city council. You see it with superintendents. Changing the face does nothing. Yeah. You have to change the system. You have to change the institution. You have to change the structure. But they've gotten Black people comfortable with accepting a changing of personality without a changing of the system.
I think you call it the illusion of inclusion.
The illusion of inclusion is suffocating.
And sometimes that's just enough for us. You know, whoa, we got a Black, you know what I mean? We got a Black man.
Yes, symbols over substance.
Nothing changed.
And they've literally controlled us for symbols over substance. I'll give you an example.
Streets.
When when President Joe Biden got elected, one of his first acts of office was he passed the transgender anti-hate bill for the transgender. Then he passed the Asian anti-hate bill. Then there was a Native American anti-violence bill. Then there was the Ukrainian. Then there was the Afghani things, right? All of these so-called minority groups getting the president's attention. Yeah. And what does he do for Black people? Make Juneteenth a federal holiday. Everybody else is getting meaningful legislation and resources. You turn Juneteenth into a holiday. We didn't need a holiday.
We didn't ask for it.
The 5 biggest problems in Black America: mass incarceration, miseducation, police genocide, gentrification, and access to wealth. That's the 5 biggest problems. What did giving us a Juneteenth holiday do about those 5 problems? Absolutely nothing at all. But to your point, symbol. By giving us the Juneteenth holiday for politically uneducated Black people, we took that as meaning that we're actually improving. They're good for that. They gave Emmett Till and Mamie Till Mobley posthumously Congressional Medals of Honor, right? And then they give us the Emmett Till anti-lynching bill, first ever in 400 years, right? But can you ask me a question? Why does Emmett Till and Mamie Till Mobley get a posthumous Congressional Medal of Honor? And why do we get an Emmett Till anti-lynching bill? And the bill is so weak that the woman who is responsible for Emmett Till's murder can't even be arrested with an anti-lynching bill named in Emmett Till's honor. Look at that now. You name it in my honor. And it's so weak, you can't even lock up the woman responsible for my murder. Symbols over substance. And we can't let the Congressional Black Caucus off the hook because those 59 D.C. Negroes, all due respect to them, they are not pushing the bag strong enough. They're not fighting for the things that matter enough. And they also are owned and financed by the Democratic Party. That's why we need a revolution in our political behavior. And that revolution begins with us financing our own independent Black community candidates.
I was telling someone yesterday about if you walk past a politician here and you say, hey, I voted for you, he'll say, thank you. Keep on walking.
Keep on walking.
If you say, hey, I gave to your campaign, he'll stop. Hey, what's your name?
Politicians and preachers have something in common. And that is that they both exist to serve themselves, not the people. We have this notion that people get into politics to fight. No, they don't. People get into politics to procure a safe and comfortable retirement. In most municipalities, after you serve 1 or 2 terms in office, you're guaranteed a pension, a government pension. I've had politicians tell me this. I had a politician tell me, I don't care if I'm not reelected. I've served 2 terms, I'm getting my government pension.
Or they become lobbyists or
absolutely.
Work for the company.
They're not there to help you. Same thing with the church. They're not there to serve the community.
And I will say, you know, again, we won't cast aspersions on all politicians.
There's a few exceptions.
And all churches.
There's always a few exceptions. But again, the exceptions do not invalidate the rule.
Yeah. All right. So listen, let me ask you one more question about this, the school psychiatrist thing, and then we'll get off that particular subject. Because
ADHD ain't no daddy at home disorder.
But one of them was just a disorder. Then all of a sudden medication came. What is that little
drug
change?
What
year was that? Did it change?
1980 we get ADD.
Okay,
no
H,
no hyper, no hyper.
Yeah, that's hyper.
87 they put the hyper in. That's because there was no drug that could make you pay attention. The drug companies wasn't making money. We have to heal our people. The one thing that we often overlook in the global Pan-African struggle is the need to heal. We talk about struggle, we talk about liberation, we talk about education, we talk about employment. Important. But if we don't heal, none of the rest of that stuff will be relevant. And we need a deep healing, because after slavery there was no healing. After colonization there was no healing. One of the reasons there's so much killing in the Black community is because there's not enough healing. We have to heal thyself in order to fully know thyself.